Hey everybody, how are you? Happy Tuesday. Well, first thing I want to do is just address all of my fellow Texans. We have been under these insane storms. I know that my friends in Dallas got hit last night. My community got hit a couple of days. I mean, tornadoes and storms and 80 and 90 mile an hour winds. So if you're out there and you've had property damage or anything, my thoughts and prayers are with you. It's been rough on our community for sure. I was at lunch with a friend of mine that I live here in town, and she lives on the lake, and up here on the lake, and she lost 9 trees, all kinds of stuff. The winds were so high that her windows buckled on her house on the lake. So, like, wow, right? So anyways, and I know Dallas got it hard last night. Terrible, terrible. I'm telling you, God's fury. But that's why I wanted to come on today, not because of God's fury, but because I made a post on maybe Sunday, that if you're in real estate, America is the best place in the world. And my company's a global company, and so it's not for me to talk about other countries, but I am going to talk about the fact that Elena Cardone and I were in Toronto on Saturday and Sunday. We literally, y'all, we got in at 9 o'clock at night, and I walked into my house at 1 a.m. Monday morning. So it was about a 30-hour turnaround time. Gosh, got something in my eye. It was about a 30-hour turnaround time total. In, out, we spoke, we conquered, we went, we left. We had the benefit of flying private. So that just helps. I'm telling you, when you don't have to deal with, when we came into Canada, they didn't even ask for our passports. We asked the pilots, we're like, is customs, I have got something in my eye, y'all. I'm so sorry. Hold on. We're like, is customs going to board the plane? And the pilots were like, no, we got it cleared last night. So I didn't even have to show my passport coming into Canada this time, which is so crazy. Oh my gosh, y'all. I may have to get off and come back on. That is nuts. Okay. So anyways, but why, if you're in real estate, is America the best place on the planet? I had several comments and people were saying, well, tell us why. Tell us why. I'm interested to hear. So we were at a multifamily conference in Toronto. So these are people that want to invest or already invested in multifamily real estate, right? Multiple doors. And we had the chance to talk to a lot of agents that were Canadian. We had the chance to talk to a lot of people, a lot of investors. Now, we had some Americans that came up for the event, but primarily Canadians. Then we talked to our Uber driver. We talked to our security team, Empire Protection, which was just so ironic, really. If you know Elena, everything's about the Empire, and the name of our I call Secret Service guys, but our protection guys were Empire Protection. We protect your empire so we can build ours. Anyways, Elena loved that. But talking to these Canadians, guys, like, we have it so good in the US. And I think that we forget that sometimes. And I see these posts where people are like, well, if such and such wins, then I'm going to leave the country. I'm like, bye. I mean, hard bye. We've got to realize what we've got. And as real estate professionals or people that own real estate, okay, there's no other country I would own real estate in but the United States of America. Toronto, one bedroom apartment, one bath, $1 million. To be able to have any kind of affordable living whatsoever, you've got to leave. You've got to leave, and you have to go really far out. The taxing, everything that they're under when it comes to the buying of real estate, the mortgaging of the real estate, the rates, their economy's not good. Beautiful. Like, Toronto is probably one of my very favorite cities in Canada. It's so clean. It's beautiful. It's very dense. I think that they told me that there's 17 million people in Toronto. So that's the third densest on the North American continent, with New York City being number one. I don't know what number two is, but Toronto is number three. But to hear their people, like everyone from an Uber driver who is just almost hopeless about because of what the economy's done up there, to the high profile security guys that, that could buy and sell anything that they want to. And all they're saying to me is, we want to get to the USA. We wish, Lisa, that we could live in America. And the guy that owns the company, he's like, I want to live in Texas. My wife wants to live in Texas. I'm like, well, why Texas? He's like, because we hear everything about Texas, and Texas is amazing. And, but we're not able to get papers secured. I'm like, well, go to the southern border. You can walk across in Texas. I mean, forget trying to come here legally through Canada. Just go down to the southern border, walk across, you'll get in. But everybody we talk to there, the realtors we talk to there, the investors we talk to there, it's like everybody was like, we want to come to America. And it made me feel really proud, and it made me feel really good. Their interest rates are higher than ours. Gas is in liters. But if you were to convert the liters to gallons, they're at about $10 a gallon. And then you want to pile on, 50% taxes, and you want to pile on, they locked him up for 4 years or 3 years, whatever it was. You want to pile on. So, I feel like if you've got the ability to invest in our country, now I know people outside the US will watch this, especially because it's going out to YouTube, but our country in America, if you, I felt, Elena and I talked about this on the plane on the way home, that we don't realize sometimes how good we have it as Americans. A 7% interest rate ain't nothing. Go to Canada. Taxes on property is nothing. Go to Canada and have to pay their taxes. The freedom that we have in this country as property owners, okay? I'm going to keep this all into real estate right now. The freedom that we have to be able to do things with our properties, to leverage our properties, to mortgage our properties, to sell our properties, to hand our properties down, to turn our properties into income producing properties. You don't have that in other countries. You have to have a minimum of 25% down in Canada, down payment. You can get in America in some places with no money down, or 3.5% down if you go FHA, or 3% down on a 97 conventional loan. Like, I think everyone's got to get past these, the rates are 7 and this and that, and there's an election coming and whatever. I mean, I'm just sitting there thinking the whole time, every single person we talked to, they were enamored with us because we're from America and because we're American real estate. I don't want to say magnets, but Elena is. Like, let's be real. She and Grant are billionaires, and their billions were made in their real estate holdings, and the $5 billion that they've got in real estate holdings. So, they're empire builders. I'm working on being an empire builder. I want all of you to be an empire builder. But we have it so good. And so all I could think of was, God, I just want to get back, and I want to tell everybody here, the realtors in Canada, were like, it's so hard. It's so hard. Everything's hard. The economy's hard. The banking is hard. The mortgages are hard. The government is hard. It is hard, hard, hard. And guys, we have it so good in America. It's not hard to buy property. Even if you've got bad credit, you can buy property. If you've got no money, you can buy property. If you don't have a job, you can buy property. Like, where there's a will, there's a way if you want to be a homeowner on American soil, or a real estate holder on American soil. You might already be a holder. But I just came back thinking, God, we need to get our hands on everything we can get our hands on, right? It's real estate is how you build wealth in America. 90% of millionaires in America, their holdings are in real estate. The majority of their holdings, 90%, is sitting in real estate. Why? Because they know something the average person doesn't know. It's the safest place in the world to stick your money. When you've got inflation running at 28% or 30%, right? And so, your money's in the bank and it's earning 3% now. And inflation's running at 28%. Here's what's happening. Inflation, the value of the dollar. If you can take those dollars and you can put it into real estate that's appreciating at 8 to 15% a year, Then you get an additional big tax credit for depreciation. So that saves you a certain percentage. You could at least maybe, I don't even know that I could tell you, you could outrun inflation under this administration, but you could at least keep up. You're not even going to keep up with it, inflation, but you can at least not lose everything you've got if you put it into real estate, right? You're not so devalued with your dollar, because at least it's still out there and it's working for you. It's working. And even if it's appreciating at 5% or 8% or 13% or 15%, like it's still like it's like a train, it's like an engine, it's moving forward, because you've got that. Then you've got the appreciation, you've got the cash flow. If you decide to get into the investment side of it and have investment properties, so you've got the cash flow, you've got the appreciation from the gains that you'll get over the years, and then you've got the depreciation of being able to depreciate the property on your tax return. So you put all that into a popcorn bowl, and you can actually at least have your head above water under what's happening right now. But regardless, we still have got the greatest system on the planet. And if you are in real estate and you're thinking, God, things are tough here, they're slow here, and they are. I mean, they have slowed down. I just want to tell you, be glad you're not in Canada trying to sell real estate. Nicest people I've ever met. I mean, they were so sweet. They were so kind. They were an amazing audience. They hung on everything we said. But I will tell you, at the end of the day, they wanted to know what it was like to work in America. They wanted to know what it was like to do real estate in America. They wanted to know how you build an empire, because there's so many opportunities in America to be able to do that. And you don't have those opportunities in other countries. When it costs you over $1 million to get a 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment, okay, it's really hard to build an empire when you're the average person and you're, making $100,000 a year or whatever that looks like. It's really, really hard to do that. But where we're at, we have the opportunity. We have the opportunity to buy smaller homes, bigger homes, multi-doors, more doors. I mean, it's endless. Could you imagine if everything we did in the US, you had to have a 25% down payment? That would have knocked me out of the game on my first house. I couldn't have done it. I could not have done it. So I would have never gotten into the game. I would have never gotten started. Let me see. Does anybody have any comments? Let me look over here in comments. Okay. I would have never gotten started in the game because the barrier to entry was too high. That's why it's great to be in America, because this is the way you will build wealth. This is the way. I have a new agent I just brought on my team. I love her. She's darling. She bought her first house at 19 years old. Her first house. I interviewed another agent today. We're launching our podcast, my podcast, Real Estate Her Way. Her Way. And she was a school teacher. And she tells the story about how she rented a room for a year, saved $30,000 so she could buy her first house, kept it for a few years, and then she sold it and made an $86,000 profit. Now she's one of the top realtors in the game in Central Texas. But it showed her what was possible. See, she was willing to do whatever it took to save the money. She was a school teacher, live in somebody else's house, rent a room, take that money, parlay it into one piece of real estate, kept it for a few years, sold it, made $86,000. It was her homestead. So what does that mean? She didn't have to pay any federal income tax on that money. Like, where else can you make money and not have to pay federal income tax on it? You can flip a house every 2 years in this country, and you have the write-off or the gain you get a protection on the gain of $250,000 a person. So if you're married, single, it's $250,000. If you're married, it's $500,000. That's tax-free money. I mean, what's the name of the game in this country? Is to hold on to our money, right? End up with more of it at the end of the year than what the government gets. They don't have that in Canada. It's just a flat, whatever it is, 45, 55, depending percent. flat, no write-offs. Guys, like we have it so good in America. And I'm not degrading my Canadian friends. I'm just stating the facts. And every single one of them said to me, I would give anything to live in America. I'd give anything to work in America. God, it made me proud and sad and felt a little bit spoiled. Um, but then I'm thinking, we're not spoiled because we work really hard. I work really hard. Elena works really hard. Grant works really hard. All my real estate team works really hard. My friends work really hard. Like, you know, we have it good here in the US. And so I think it's just really important that we don't lose sight of that we don't lose sight of how good we have it in the US and how good the real estate market is here. So even if you're thinking, oh, I don't want to do this, I'm going to wait, I'm going to do that, like no time like the present. No time like the present. So anyways, I hope that this answered the question of the post that I put out on Saturday or Sunday. It was a bit of a teaser, but we talked about, I don't know, our flight was 2.5 hours home from Toronto. Easy flight, by the way, easy to get in and out of Toronto. And half of that time we spent talking about how lucky we are to be Americans, how lucky we are to be capitalists, how lucky we are to have the ability to buy property. Just how lucky we are. So as we come off of this Memorial Day weekend, and I think about all the people that gave it all. They gave it all so we could do what we do. So are you taking it? This is my challenge to you, to my viewers and my audience. My challenge is, are you taking advantage of every single opportunity that this great country offers us? And then thinking about the people that died to protect that opportunity, to protect those freedoms. You know, we don't, I'm the first one to tell you, I do not always agree with our government, especially the last 3 years. But I never lose sight of the fact that I love my country, and that I am forever grateful for the brave men and women who gave it all. I love this saying that says, we don't know them all, but we owe them all. And we do owe them all. And they're willing to do things that we're not willing to do. You know, stand watch all night, go to foreign lands, live in the desert, live in containers. Like I know a lot of military people, and they're willing to do what we're not willing to do. So knowing that there are brave Americans that do every single day so that we can live in the greatest country in the world, are you maximizing whoever you are out there watching me right now, or whoever you are who's going to catch this in the future, are you maximizing every single thing that this country has to offer? And do you realize that minus inheriting it or a big exit on a company, the only way to build generational wealth in this country? I know 3 billionaires personally, okay? 3 of them personally. They've all made it in real estate. They've all made it in real estate. That is where, if you want to get ahead in this country, you don't need to work harder. You just don't. I'm sorry. You know, you're trading time for money, all of that. You need to work smarter, and you need to get smart, and you need to think about, how am I going to get into the real estate game? How am I going to play this game? How am I going to have properties that either cash flow, right? We love cash flow. Cash flow is a good thing. Or how do I invest in properties that if in 5 years I sell them and I make money, that I'm able to take a big tax break on them, you know, the depreciation. Like, that should be what you're obsessed with. It should be. You know, how do I meet people? How do I follow people? How do I, oh, thank you, David Contreras. Yes, yes. And you're somebody who has taken great advantage of this country. And everything it has to offer. But how am I going to maximize me being an American? How am I going to maximize everything this country has to offer? Because if you don't, somebody else will. Okay. There are people out there, they are hungry. Like when every one of these Canadians that I spoke to, every one of them, not one of them said, oh God, America sucks. I don't know how you live there. No. They're like, God, my dream would be to go to America. My dream would be to sell real estate in America. My dream is to own real estate in America. My dream is to come to America. And it just made me feel really good and really proud. Um, just really good and really proud. And I just thought it was really appropriate. I didn't want to do it yesterday. Yesterday was my mother's 80th birthday, and she was fabulous. She looked fabulous. But today I just wanted to say, when you go to another country and you talk to people, and what's cool is we were in another country, but we were with our colleagues, right? Other real estate professionals from another country. And they just think, they're like, you guys have it so good in America. And as we all American real estate people right now are complaining, oh, it's slow, the phones aren't ringing, interest rates are too high, la 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 la. The rest of the world is looking at us going, you're so lucky. You have it so good. So I'll leave you with this. Get in the game. I want to encourage you to get in the game. I want to encourage you to build an empire. I want you to think about the fact, man, I live in America and I'm lucky and I've got opportunity. You just got to figure it out. You got to figure it out. You got to get with an agent, somebody that you can work with that can help you figure it out. We're willing to do that. Of course, you guys know, no matter where you are in the country, I've got a huge network. We'll help you figure it out. So I guess I'm going to leave it with this. God bless America. God bless all of you, all of my fellow Texans that are coming through these storms. Man, it's been brutal. I know homes have been lost. Property has been lost. Businesses have been lost. I mean, every morning when I get up and I pray fervently for my fellow Texans right now, all over the state. God has absolutely unleashed his fury. There's no doubt about it. We're under so much tornadic activity. North Texas, Central Texas, South Texas, like we are getting it like we have never gotten it before. So to all my Texans, I love you. And to everybody out there, to all my fellow Americans, like we have it good and we need to take advantage of every opportunity that our country puts in front of us. Bye guys.